Uncle Mort's Celtic Fringe by Peter Tinniswood. Next morning the Welsh skylarks sang. The Welsh wagtails zinked their tails and bobbed their heads. The Welsh black cattle lowed in the rumpled Welsh meadows.
Bloody Welsh. They don't half lard it on.
The old Welsh farmhouse shook itself free of the night. The Welsh mist lapped at the valley's hollows.
I can smell cooking.
So can I.
I bet you half a bath to a tanner it's Welsh.
They creaked down the stumbling staircase. The old Welsh collie greeted them in the hall and snickered its teeth. They entered the kitchen. Mr. Roberts was standing on a buckled milk crate in front of the bandy-legged cooker. In his hands he held a spitting, snarling, cast-iron frying pan.
Breakfast, it's my only consolation.
They sat down to a meal of thick gammon steaks, sweet-smoked and pink-bellied, with juicy fat and crisp brown rinds. They had 3 eggs each. The yolks were Belisha orange, and they gaped for the caress of the hunky white bread with the black burnt crusts. The skins of the sausages had burst, and the meat was nutty and writhed peppery and plump round the roofs of their mouths. Fat soused mushrooms with coarse salt glistening in the juices of their upturned cups. Black puddings gorged in butter. Tottering mounds of spice-quivering Welsh cakes and mugs of strong brown tea.
Typical of the Welsh, Carter.
What?
The pancakes were rubbish.
They were doilies.
Oh. I knew you should have put more syrup on them.
Mr. Roberts invited them to inspect his land.
Do the cows bite?
No.
Do they pester you to throw sticks for them?
No.
Right then, you're on.
The old Welsh collie hobbled a few paces behind them as they set off across the meadow that sloped down to the plunging oaks and the sly, skulking stream. Uncle Mort stood still in the centre of the meadow. Butterflies fluttered round his waist. Clover wheedled at his ankles. The grass was sweet and springy. He extended his right arm and swept it round him.
Look at all this, Carter.
Champion.
Hills, mountains, woods, fields and hedges. What a bloody waste.
How do you mean?
Well, think what you could do with it if you used your nose. You could build a stadium for women athletes with fat backsides and tits like hotcakes. You could build a velodrome for professional cyclists who spend all their adult lives staring down the nicks in each other's arses. You could build a leisure centre for badminton players with buck teeth and limp armpits. What a waste. What a bloody waste.
Uncle Mort and Carter Brandon took off their socks and shoes and bathed their feet in the stream. Uncle Mort removed his cap and sailed it downstream until it caught in the arms of a draping willow. And then it was time to go.
Well, ta very much. It were nice knowing you.
Won't you take me for a day out in your car?
You what?
I haven't had a day out since the German bomber crashed into the water tower yonder.
Uncle Mort looked at Carter Brandon and raised his eyebrows. Carter Brandon nodded.
Right then, you're on. Do you want to go anywhere special?
No. Everywhere special to me these days.
Half an hour later they were driving along the great curving prom of the seaside resort with its stiff-shouldered roosts of chattering hotels. Dogs yapped back their ears in the bluster from the sea. Kites yawed and crackled. Sticky children puddled the sand. A lean-ribbed cat slept weary on the roof of the bandstand. Mr. Roberts sighed deeply with pleasure.
I've never been here before. Never, never, never.
But it's no more than 10 miles from where you live.
Oh, I know. But we don't travel far in this part of the world, only to the cattle market on Tuesday and the funerals of friends and family when they die.
Well, I've been here before.
Have you? When?
During the First World War, just prior to Gallipoli. Beach training, 6 long weeks of it. Talk about hardship and deprivation. Do you know, lad, if Gallipoli had been a simple case of wearing funny hats and being sick from too much cream soda, we'd have knocked the living daylights out of the Ottoman Empire. Then I came here again. After the cessation of hostilities.
All right.
Aye. Well, your Auntie Edna, when I was courting her just prior to the outbreak of the hostilities of our marriage. I had a nasty accident at the station.
Did you?
Aye. I dropped my finger stole in a chocolate machine. Your Auntie Edna was bloody useless. I missed 3 trains home before it occurred to her to cut the elastic. Tell you what, Carter. How do you fancy a trip to the pier?
What's there?
I don't know. Nout, I suppose.
Well, that's good enough for me.
The whale-bellied pier stretched out from the base of the cliff, straining for the sea. The deckboards bucked and bounced beneath their sea-sprayed feet. The stanchions thrashed the waves and quivered. The rust-throated wind coughed at the sparrows. Mr. Roberts grinned shyly. And then he took off his dove-grey Anthony Eden hat and chased a herring gull. And then he bought a pink balloon and tied it to his back collar stud. Then he bought a gorilla mask and fixed it to the back of his head. He grinned shyly again. They moved on, and Mr. Roberts paused in front of a kiosk thrumming with fairy lights and looked at them pleadingly. There was a board on which was written, "Gypsy Zelda O'Quirk, clairvoyant to the stars." They peered at the board more closely and saw faded, salt-grimed photos of Anona Wynne, Donald Pearce, and Robinson Cleaver.
Do you want to go in?
Do you think it's safe? I've been a bachelor, you see, ever since the day I was born.
So was Anona Wynne, till she had her medical for 20 questions.
Mr. Roberts smiled wanly and sidled into the kiosk. Far out in the distance they saw the silver swoop of dolphin. Stiff-necked shags grazed the wave-tops belly-high. An empty cocoa tin bobbed at the water's edge.
Rum lot the Welsh, aren't they, Carter? Mysterious folk, a nation steeped in the mists of time. A people who move to dark and secret rhythms, a race of dreamers, philosophers and lilting poets. You think we should buy him a bucket and spade?
Why not?
And so they bought Mr. Roberts a bucket and spade. They handed it to him when he came out of the kiosk.
She said I'd got big feet.
Ah.
You won't tell the minister, will you?
My lips are sealed.